Hello, I am Alexandra J. Johnson with the Entheos Academy for Optimal Living. Today I'm chatting with the dynamic Tripp Lanier. Tripp is the host of the New Man podcast. He is an entrepreneur, a coach, and an artist. Today we are chatting about his course, The New Man. And The New Man is all about moving beyond the macho jerk and the new age wimp. So if you're feeling it, you can sign up below. Hello, Tripp. It's so fantastic to be talking with you today.
So good to see you and to be talking with you too. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I am thrilled about this new man idea. Can you tell us what is the new man and who is the new man?
Well, I think at first I just want to talk a little bit about, who's interested in the new man and who might be kind of thinking about this, because it's a confusing time for guys. So to answer your question, it's like, well, there's not a lot of role models for us. There's not a lot of stuff out there. We may look in the past, or we may look to television. There's a lot of stuff on TV or movies. So like guys may be looking at Don Draper, the guy that's the lead character in the Mad Men. He's debonair and cool and everything, but he's a drunk and a womanizer. So that kind of goes out the door. And then there's John Wayne. He's the tough, stoic Lone Ranger type of guy. But, in today's day and age where we're all socially connected and we realize that relationships are really what help us flourish in the world, then that guy's not really going to help us. So we know the new age wimp isn't what we want to be either. And we know that the kind of the macho tough guy on Jersey Shore isn't necessarily where we want to go. So the new man is something that's going to transcend and include the best qualities of those types of role models. If there are some good qualities in there, so we're going to transcend and include those and move forward and start to ask the question, what's beyond the macho jerk and what's beyond the new age wimp?
That's so awesome. It's so needed too, right? I mean, especially as a woman, I'm super excited about this because even women, we're not sure who we are. And then how do we relate to the man? And it's like a whole thing. It
is confusing, and I think in some cases we think, well, I've got to be a little bit of this and I've got to be a little bit of that, and what I'm really saying is that no, it's a new thing. Mm-hmm. It's going above and beyond. I'm not going to be kind of a new age wuss and kind of a tough guy and somehow work it out. It's neither of those. It's a whole new paradigm, and I imagine it's very similar for women as well.
Yeah, totally. So cool. And I love you had this idea of a man working with brains, balls, and heart. So how does a man do that?
I think it just basically comes down to how are you firm and how are you still open in the world. So for a lot of guys, it's this I'm going to posture and I'm going to be a tough guy, mm-hmm. and I'm impervious. Nothing, I'm invulnerable to the world. Nothing can get through. But there's a huge cost. It's a really lonely way to live. And honestly, no one really buys that kind of stuff unless you're into pro wrestling and you watch that and you're like, oh yeah, that guy really is tough. That's why he dresses like a Muppet and bounces around on stage. But the other part is, in the new age wuss kind of guy, he can be all heart and he can be so receptive. But the bottom line is, like, I wouldn't trust that guy with my car keys. And I don't know many women that actually want to enter a sexual relationship with him. He may be a really nice guy and a very friendly guy to be with, but he's not really someone they want to build a relationship. He doesn't certainly rev the fire up, so to speak.
So then coming from that space, you're an integrated man.
Integrating that, having that firmness, having that integrity, having those firm boundaries and saying, this is what I stand for, this is what's not okay in my world. And on the other end, really getting how the other person's life is. What is your experience? What's it like to be you? What's it like for you to be with me and for us to interact? And so it's not just this tunnel vision, it's my way or the highway.
Right. So cool. So what about some of the limiting beliefs that you see men have that really stops them in being the new man?
I'd say the biggest one, and I struggle with this one too, is that vulnerability takes strength. Vulnerability takes strength. That it's this idea that if we're vulnerable, then we are weak. But if you really think about it, it takes balls. It takes real guts to show up and be vulnerable in a way where we're not collapsed, where we don't just get washed away in our emotions or by whatever is happening. So, when I hear guys say, oh, it's bad to cry or it's bad to actually show that you've been impacted by something that's happened in the world, I I just say, well, what would be the ballsier move? What would actually take the most guts? And it's like, oh, well, I would show up in this way. So it's looking at the world in that way and realizing that to show up in the world and to be firm, but also allow yourself to be impacted by things takes a lot of guts.
Yeah, totally. And just as a woman, that for us, that takes, I don't know about balls, but takes ovaries for us.
Go on, tell me about it. What does it take?
But to be vulnerable for us as well. And I can imagine the challenge it is for men. You know, for women, it's more acceptable for us to be vulnerable, but it's still challenging. And for a man, wow. That is a huge act.
Yeah, and I think it's what we really want. I mean, that in relationship, I know that as a man, that when I'm with a woman, that it's her vulnerability, or another way to think of it is her accessibility. That is a big turn on. So she can be accomplished and she can be really strong and can be really kicking ass in the world. But if she's an island unto herself and there's like a brick wall in between her and her heart, I get bored.
Right.
You know, and I imagine that the same can be true for a woman. It's like, well, this guy can be great and he can hold the door for me and he can pay the bills and everything, but if he's not there, if there's nobody there, it's not very satisfying. So I think underneath it, even if we're not able to articulate it, that's what we're really hungry for.
Yeah, totally. And just as you're talking about it from the women's perspective, because that's what I got, and it's like very attractive for a woman to see a new man really integrating it, you know, that he's strong and masculine, but you can't push him over. You know, but he's sensitive, so this is such an amazing work for men.
Yeah, and like I said, it's kind of more like balancing a ball on our finger. It's not this rigid, okay, I'm the new man now, I've got it, I've done my practices, and it's this constant practice, constant discipline of staying curious. Yeah, well, hell, what is that? And let me check that out, and being willing to stay in that conversation versus, okay, I've got my 5 tips here and I'm perfect now, I'm the new man.
Right.
It's really more of just, all right, how would I approach life? What are some of the big ideas and the practices that I can do that keep me connected and in that conversation?
Right. So let's say somebody's watching this and they're like, oh my gosh, I definitely want to step into a new level of new manness. What is a practice that they can start doing today?
I think the biggest practice that a guy can do, and I do this all the time with my own coaching clients, is just to get clear on what you want. Mm-hmm. So I'll ask a guy in any given situation, like even if what you want for lunch or what you want to wear today or what kind of job or what kind of life do you want? A lot of guys are just in this reactionary place of, well, I don't want this and I don't want that, but they're not taking the lead. They're not the ones that are prepared to say, hey, you know what? I do want to eat this for lunch and I do want to go here for a good time this weekend and I do want to have these types of friends in my life or take a stand for this in my life. They're not taking the lead. That's that part of just like, who are you? Where are you? What do you stand for? And so I just basically have a guy write out every day for 5 minutes, set a timer, and just write stream of consciousness. What do you want? And it can be very mundane and it can be very high level, big picture stuff. But the idea is you start to flex this muscle, and instead of repulsing things and pushing things away or simply saying, yeah, I'll do that because that's what everyone else is doing, you start to develop your own voice. You start to develop what you care about. And that's what this work is all about.
That's so beautiful. And that's amazing for men and for women. But
absolutely.
And I keep going back to, because I get this is like such a juicy topic that it's so amazing for a man to stand in that power. This is what I want.
Yeah.
That's hot.
Yeah. And the idea that it doesn't have to be my way or the highway, but are you prepared? Like if the genie popped out of the bottle right now, would you be prepared to say, cool, really good to see you because I've been wanting to talk to you. Here's A, B, C, D, E. I'm ready to implement this. This is what I want in my life. This is what I take a stand for. Instead of like, oh man, I've just been kind of getting by and doing whatever would not rock the boat or not make her angry or keep my job safe, instead of like really having that clarity and saying, this is what I care about.
Amen. Goosebumps. So who is this class for?
This class is for anyone that's wanting to get out of a rut. This is for anyone that's wanting to avoid the traps in life. This is for someone that's wanting a taste to get really clear about, like I said, what they care about, where they want to take their life. I've been coaching this stuff for years. Whether it's been in workshops or one-on-one or in, kind of workshop settings or teaching, that kind of thing. This is what really works. I've done over 100 episodes of The New Man. I've been drilling down. Don't give me any BS. I don't want any hype. I don't want any of that kind of stuff. I want to know the stuff that actually works, what's really going to make a difference in people's lives. So this is anyone that's hungry for, okay, I want the most value in the shortest amount of time. I want the biggest ideas and the most potent practices that I can start to implement now that'll really make a difference.
Awesome. And is this for men, just men, or is it for women or?
Women, there's a lot of women that listen to the class. I will be addressing the course for men and to men, but women are certainly welcome to come along.
Because we can learn a lot from how you guys operate.
Absolutely. You guys are sneaky too. I knew you were going to get in anyway, so I might as well just let you.
We're just really passionate about connecting to our
Oh, it's not Alexandra J. It's Alex J. Yeah, I'm the dude. I'm on the course now. Yeah, I know how this goes.
That's great. That's awesome. Well, I thank you so much for taking the time. I really appreciate your work. I appreciate you empowering all the new men, and it's pretty fantastic. So thank you so much.
Thank you, dear. I appreciate it.
Bye.